I want to thank you today. Mr. Ralph Nickerson is joining me on Dope Ass People because he's a dope ass person. And he's a filmmaker, a celebrated filmmaker, Emmy Award winning journalist. He is a native of Houston. He's taught at Hampton University and the Art Institute. And I'm here just to talk to him about his experience in filmmaking, not only his experience around the world, but also in Houston and locally. Because I think a lot of people think that they have to be from LA or New York to get into film. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about filmmaking at a
Okay.
local level. And I want to start with the fact that I saw you first at a filmmaking um, premiere that we did, a filmmaking
Right.
screening
Right.
for Claudine. And you talked about Black film and how it inspired you. So I just want to know just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your background and how Black film inspired you.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm absolutely honored that you chose me to come on. And my story is not unlike a lot of people. Growing up, I was a movie junkie. I was a TV and film junkie. I love music. I love all things entertainment. And I grew up in a rural South, a little town called Blanchard, Louisiana. And my family didn't have a lot of money, so movies were kind of like my way of seeing the world and seeing what was out there. And I always loved it. I as a kid, I was just fascinated with it. And I didn't just like the movies. I love the actors. I love the writing. I love how things were shot. And I just became kind of crazy about it. And I was that weird kid that just would just sit and dream of being in movies or making movies. And, you know, later I went to college. I majored in filmmaking, University of Louisiana, Monroe. And I got out of college and I remembered, I taught a long time. I tell my students this about 15 minutes before walking across the stage to get my diploma. I said, holy crap, I don't have any skills to do anything. I'm about to graduate. And I really, in honesty, I can't do anything that does not involve a camera. And I had this panic attack because I said, man, if I can't find a job using a camera, I'm screwed.
Mhm.
And and then walking up to the stage to get my diploma, I had this moment of clarity and I said, I don't want a job that doesn't involve a camera, so I'm good. And so I started my career. I ran off to New York like a lot of people do because I was like, I'm going to I'm going to make it. They haven't seen anything like me before. I'm a cinematographer, a photographer. I'm an actor. I studied ballet. I've heard all the jokes. I love
And
dancing.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I studied ballet and I danced in my college ballet company for 3 years. And I did theater and I got to work with people like Pearl Bailey, Sherman Hensley, Robert Guignon. I did a play called Pearly Victorias where I got to travel around the country. I can't sing, so I didn't have any lead parts. So I was like, New York ain't seen nothing like this country boy. I got there, I went broke quickly. I found myself homeless. I found myself on the streets starving. And my college professor said, you're going to come back to Louisiana. I'm going to get you a job in TV. And I said, Professor Gibson, I'm not a journalist, I'm a filmmaker. And he's like, right now you're a bum. And that struck hard. And I was like, you know what? You're right. He goes, dude, it's just a camera. It's just telling stories. Go out there and tell great stories. So I started my career in TV and I was like, I'll just do this just for a little bit, maybe a year, and then I'm going to hit it big once Hollywood finds out about me. 30 years later, I'm still running around TV stations with a camera. My last TV station was right here in Houston, KHOU. Uh, Great people there. I love everyone there. Not one bad day. Um, so I tell people all the time, you may have a plan. I'm a spiritual person. I have very strong belief, and I say you may have a plan, but sometimes God's plan is better than yours. God knows what you want what he wants for you more than you want for yourself. And I tell you, I've had a great career for a
Hmm.
country boy, from Blanchard, Louisiana, to wake up in the morning and go to the White House as member of White House press to 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 interview presidents and senators and kings and queens, celebrities. And I did it all not because I'm like this spectacular person. I did it because I dedicated myself to the art of telling stories with a camera. And that camera has taken me places I never dreamed of.
Wow. That's an amazing story. So, in 30 years, from the time that you were in New York until up until now, how has your idea about storytelling evolved?
It grows with you.
Mhm,
Um, I was blessed. I came from an era of cinema,
mhm,
and being a documentary fanatic, I was that kid that watched PBS.
mhm,
And coming up from that era where you had great movies, great stories, great actors, you kind of know how your frame of reference. I tell my students all the time. I say, how do you know Michael? How do you know LeBron James is the greatest of all time if you've never actually seen Michael Jordan play? How do you know if Chris Brown or Usher is a great performer on stage if you never have seen Michael Jackson or James Brown or Elvis one single time? It's about frame of reference. So people that were watching cinema in the 60s and the 70s, we had a great frame of reference because we had these great stories to tell, like Where I Met You and we were watching Claudine. It's an amazing story. No car chases, no fight scenes, no AI animation, just James Earl Jones' great acting, great story, and it moves you. So my idea of stories is this, and that is it's got to always be about the people. If it's not about a person or the people, then it's not really a story. You can't do a story, you can't do a movie on an issue if you don't personalize it. So the people watching it can see themselves in the characters or see, I don't want that to be me. It's kind of like you have to think every every man's hero, every woman's dream when you're writing that character. People have to care about that character. And I see a lot of movies now where I just go, I don't really care about this
get it.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I could care less about this person. And they're the main character.
But you know what? When I watched Claudine when I was young, right, it was a
You're
different
still
movie.
young.
No, I was really young when I saw Claudine. And as a child watching Claudine and then as a woman at 56 years old, it's a totally different story.
Oh
It was
yeah.
almost like when I saw Claudine, it was like my first time watching it because
And
then the social issues were apparent to me, and just different. I had been married, I had been divorced, I had kids, had been a single mother. All of those things, those life experiences. Then when I watched it again, it was a totally different movie.
and that's why I picked that movie, and I'm thankful for the organization that invited me out, and they asked me what I wanted to show, and I gave them like three movies, but I was like, this is the one, because it's a film. It's not a movie. It's a film,
Mhm.
and that's the difference between a painting and a portrait. It's a film. You could watch it again and you'll see something new in it. You'll watch it again after that and you'll glean something else from it. It's a living being. And when I started that talk at the theater, I said Claudine was a warning for today.
Mhm.
And you
Oh.
think that movie came out in the early 70s and we're living with the ramifications of not listening to that filmmaker, replacing the black man in the household with welfare and food stamps, the government punishing a woman if she has a man in her life. And if for people that haven't seen Claudine, go out and rent it, watch it, Google it. You'll start looking at it saying, "My God, they we can't say we didn't know because they told us way back then."
They told us way back then, and that's what I love about film. And I love to leave the theater, with that feeling, that emotion. right? So my next question for you is like you said you went to school in Louisiana, you were born and raised in Louisiana. How does a person, and you went to New York and it didn't work out, but how does a person that's here now, because things are different now than when you
Yes.
went to New York and back then. How does a person now that's in Houston or in a small town in Louisiana and they say, I want to be a filmmaker, what should they do?
Well, let me tell you, this is the greatest time
Hmm.
for Black cinema. It really is. This is the first time in the last 5 years it's starting to grow and it's growing and it's growing. This is the first time where you don't have to chase a studio contract. You don't have to go out there and sign with MGM and Paramount and those kind of films and those studios. This is the first time in cinematic history, especially Black cinema, where you can reach the masses. Now, we did this back in the early 1910s, 1920s when we had a series of films called race films. And, and with race films, uh, they gave us a look at Black life, African American life, that was opposite of what Hollywood was showing us. Hollywood was showing Birth of a Nation, and all of the movies, Black people were jigaboos and mammies, and we were rapists and madmen, like in Birth of a Nation, where the white man with black caulk on his face to look like to be black looks at a white woman, he just loses his mind and he goes crazy and he just has to have her and he throws her to the ground and rapes her.
Yeah.
That was the image that Hollywood put out of Black people. And then the race films came along and they showed Black lawyers and doctors and dentists, and they had detective stories and they had romance stories. Uh, Even as early as 18, I think 1897, 96, I don't remember the day, there was a Black romance film called The Negro Kiss. It wasn't very long, but just showed a Black couple in an embrace and showing love for one another. That was incredibly popular, a 2 minute long film, because it showed Black people as human beings. So today, we have that opportunity to go out, shoot, and produce our movies, hire local Black actors, local Black lighting techs, and cinematographers and editors, and then put your video on demand, put it on YouTube, press your own, rent a theater, and show your movie. So there's streaming networks now that will air your movie. So this is the greatest time, I think, for being a Black filmmaker, because you don't have to go with your hat in your hand saying, please, 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 Mr. Charlie, can you please read my script? Can you please help me out? Can you please do for me? Because we're at a point now where we can do for ourselves. And I absolutely love it when filmmakers don't go begging Hollywood so they can tell our story.
And they do it their way.
Yeah,
And
because they're going to take your script and they're going to go, this character's too Black, or this character's not Black enough.
mhm,
There was a reality show called Sisters in Laws, and it was shot right here. And they
mhm,
came to the Art Institute to to shoot an episode, and I was teaching there, and so you know they were like, yeah, you can bring some of your students by. I had a few students that are like, I love that show, I watch it all the time. So they're in there, and the director comes through and he says, okay, so we're going to shoot this scene. We're going to shoot the party scene next week, but this week you were thrown out of the party and you're upset about it. But we're going to do the party next week in Atlanta, but you're going to be really upset about it. And these women, they start. One's a local politician. I won't get into that, but they start doing the scene. And then the guy comes, he goes, cut, cut, cut. This is a white guy. He goes, hey, I need you guys to sister girl it up a little bit. And then they started from the beginning, and then all of a sudden, here we have these intelligent Black women with law degrees and with these great achievements. And now they start going, girl, let me tell you something, honey, child. She knows, and my students are sitting there going, I'm never watching that show again. See, that's what happens when we beg the
yeah,
networks to put us on, because now we're slaves. We
yeah,
have to, if we're going with that dollar, we have to sell ourselves out. And I looked at everyone in that show differently then, because I was like, you're just a sellout. You're a
yeah,
sellout for a show that's not even a top 100 show that was canceled about 3 episodes later. but
Mm-hmm.
you sold yourself out just to be on camera. When you can go to black cinema and show your greatness, show your excellence, you
Mm-hmm.
know, represent your people, represent yourself, show how your parents raised you. And I know they didn't raise you to be no Uncle Tom and no Coon. But when you're chasing a white dollar, sometimes that's what you're forced to do. And we're at a point now where you can stream your own movie.
Mm-hmm.
And acting, I'm not name dropping, but it stuck with me. Pearl Bailey one time told me, she said, if you want to act, it doesn't matter where you're acting. You act for the love of acting, whether it's Broadway or it's on a small stage someplace. You act for the love
Mm-hmm.
of acting. So if you want to make movies and tell stories, you don't have to have that big Hollywood movie. It's great if you get it. We all want to be, Spike Lee and Mario Van Peebles, and we all want
Mm-hmm.
that. Robert Townsend, we all want that. But don't let that stop you from telling great stories. And you can do that right here in Houston. And people are doing it every day.
That's interesting that you say that. I wanted to move to your production company, Hakima Productions. How do you choose projects? How do you choose? How do you say, and you're in Houston, how do you say, um, I want to do that. I want to work on that. This is worthy of my time. And then I have another question about something that you mentioned before, but go ahead and let me know.
Okay, Hakima, which is Swahili, it means wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because this is brand new.
Okay.
Uh, I got out of the business. I mean, I really did. I got out of the business and started teaching it.
Okay.
And I got to a point in my life where I went, you know what? I've had that career. I've done those things. I've been on that big stage. I have my Emmys and I have this and I have that. And I produced documentaries and shot documentaries that aired on the Discovery Channel for a long time. I've done those things. Okay. Um, and it's like now I only want to help others do it. I got out of the business, for the most part. And and I was out for a while, and then I went to work for a local nonprofit here, handling their social media, and and my soul wasn't right. I mean, it's kind of hard to
Mm-hmm.
explain. Like I one day I looked up and I was like, man, I haven't shot one frame of video in like 6 months. I'm not telling any stories, and and it hurt me. It hurt me because I was like, this is all I wanted to do my whole life. When I went into the Navy, I went into the Navy at 18, and I'm sitting there. I was an air traffic controller. I'm sitting there at a radar screen with planes flying around, and I'm daydreaming about movies. I was not a good choice, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And anytime in my life I've gotten away from the camera and from editing and lighting, I I didn't feel right. And and so I said, I'm 63 now, and I said, you know what? Navy SEALs say, ain't dead, can't quit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not dead, but I wasn't going out telling those stories that I wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And and I left KHOU. I loved it there, and I love working with the folks there. Great, great newsroom. What you see on the air is genuinely the nicest people. They're like that behind the camera. I have nothing bad to say about anyone there. Uh, and Len and me are just amazing people. But I left there because I was telling the stories that the newsroom wanted me to tell. I wasn't telling my stories. I wasn't
Right.
telling stories that I saw in the black community.
Okay.
And I just wouldn't. It just didn't feel right. And and so I go to this company, and it didn't get better. I thought I was going to have more time to work on film. So I just said, hey, you know what? It's time to do me. I have these stories I want to tell. I don't care if they don't make a dime. I mean, I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to tell the stories because I think there are so many black stories that aren't being told. So I started Hakima again, which means wisdom, and 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 so I have my list of projects that I'm starting to work on, and I'm telling you, I wait. I'm like so excited. I'm so excited. I ain't got a job, but Allah will always provide, you
Yes,
know.
yes,
But it's good. And my wife, I called my wife and she said, if you're not happy, quit. And I was like,
yeah,
man, I'm so glad I have a queen,
yeah,
that supports me.
absolutely.
I am so
That's
glad I
so,
have a queen that supports me.
that is
But
so
but
important.
that's where Hakima comes from.
Okay.
It's I wanted a company. For years, my company was called Positive Image, and it was to remind me of the only kind of stories that I would do were going to be positive image of Black people. With my company now, I don't go after white clients. I don't go after clients, period. I'll take white money, but
Mhm.
I have fired
Unapologetically,
I have
unapologetically
fired a
black.
lot of yeah, I fired a lot of clients. I go, no, 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 sorry, not doing that.
Yeah.
And I'll walk away because Steve Jobs said something. I don't mean to ramble on, but Steve Jobs said something. It was in his last public address. Actually, it was his last text, his last post. And this guy was a multi-billionaire of Apple. Okay. And he said, now that I'm at the end, I can't take any of this money with me. I wish I'd have spent more time with my kids. I wish I'd spent more time with my family, my wife. I wish I'd spent more time laughing
Yeah.
and loving.
Yeah.
And he said, now I'm at the end and I can't get any of it back. And everything I work for, I can't take with me. And I'm thinking, this is the richest man out there, right, at the time.
Yeah.
And on his deathbed, he taught us all the most valuable thing he ever taught us. And that is you have to be happy. You just have to. You just have to. And and so I started Hakima because I want people to look at the name
Mhm.
and go, oh yeah, yeah, I know what they're about. I know what they're about. And I will never apologize to anyone for being black. I will never apologize to anyone for speaking up. I will never I will never sit quietly by. I grew up in the deep south in the 60s where we had lynchings and I grew up still seeing whites only water fountains. I grew up with the Klan every Friday night going in front of my house. We lived in the country in full regalia. you
Mm.
know my perspective is a little different than a lot of people, and I
Mm.
watch my uncles, grown men, big strong manly men, have to say yes sir, no sir to 16-year-old boys. And they didn't do it because they wanted to. They didn't do it because they were coward. They did it because there was a system set up around them that they would end up on the end of a rope if they didn't.
Mhm.
But they endured that. They fought it, and they did it so we don't have to. So I'm not going to now hold my tongue. And if I do it with my camera, I will damn well do it with my camera. And people don't like what I have to say. There are 5 trillion things online. Watch something else. But my films, my articles are going to be about one thing, and that's the elevation of my people and the speaking of my mind.
Thank you for that. That's encouraging. I wanted to ask you something because you touched on Black excellence in film, and I know that sometimes Black filmmakers can carry the weight of the world on their shoulders in terms of what they put out into the world. And you have people saying, "Well, I don't want to see another slave movie. I don't want to see another man dressed up like a woman. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that." What do you think about that when people are making films that may not always be about Black excellence, but still they're about Black stories?
I think they're still about black excellence. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the mistake that a lot of people make. We make it about ourselves. And that
Mm-hmm.
is there's one type of black person. We all
Mm-hmm.
have the same experiences. We all have the same likes, dislikes. We all have the same history. That's not true. There is no black because someone that grew up in the 90s or the 2000s in Los Angeles is going to feel different from someone that was born in the mid 50s in Alabama. They both have the same skin tone. They have the same shared history of Africa and their roots, but their experiences are different. The stories that they could tell and the stories that they want to receive are different. So I'm okay with that. Here's one of my biggest pet peeves, and I was telling some people the other day, and I mean this. Like, I don't like it when people go online and criticize black filmmakers. I don't.
Me neither.
Um, if I have a problem with something, I'm going to treat it like family. We all got that one cousin,
Mhm.
we like, and
Yeah.
my family is me, but we all have that one cousin where like, we need him to just put him in the closet when company come over. You know, we go, Junebug crazy. But you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to talk about him in front of white people. We're not going to talk to him like that in front of other people. If you have a problem with Tyler Perry film, then don't watch it. But don't make it a point in your life to go online and bash him. Because what he's done, he's a Louisiana boy, so hey, who that? Uh, what he's done is amazing. 20 years ago, he's selling DVDs out of the trunk of his car. Now
Yeah.
he owns his own soundstage. Hell, it's a city.
Hmm.
And is he perfect? No. Is his film's perfect? No. Do I want him to stop? Hell no. I want him to keep telling his stories the way he wants to tell them. And 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 that's the way it should be. People go on and go, man, I saw a guy the other day, I had to comment on him to him on Facebook. He said, Tubi's trash. Look how these movies and and he showed a scene from a black movie. And I'm like, that filmmaker is living his dream. That his or her dream. That filmmaker is telling a story. That filmmaker is reaching out to people, and your only platform is Facebook. They're going out there putting everything that they have on the line. They're not working with $100 million budget. They may have their friends helping them out, but they have a story that they want to tell. And they're not getting Denzel and Will Smith. They're not getting these people in their films. So they're making their movies. Look at their story.
They
But
actually
do not
was.
go,
Hmm.
yeah, but do not go online and bash another black filmmaker. It's it's disgraceful because now I tell people all the time, I was like, the Klan can disband. They can go home. Job well done. We'll take bashing and hurting and destroying and killing black people. We'll take that off your hands. You guys are good. Go on home. We cannot do the job of the Klan. We can't go online and degrade black people. We just can't. We just can't. We shouldn't put it that way. And so when you see a black film, if it's not your favorite film, just look at something else. But
Going.
why go on and take a filmmaker's work and their dream and then bash it when you yourself can't do better? It's
That's
shameful.
my point. That's my point. I like to. I love what you just said because I see so much of that. I see so much of them taking clips from Tubi and bashing Tyler Perry, who has done the
Amazing.
work that he's done is amazing. So, and nobody else is at his level, but you're still online bashing him stuff. So I'm so glad that you said that. Let us stop bashing black film, black art. If you don't like it, don't look at it, right?
Yeah.
Just keep going. So
Just
that
say it
means,
in your living room.
yeah,
Like when
just
my wife and I are sitting around the living room, we might go for an hour on that or something, but we're never going to do that in public.
you're never gonna post it
And
online. Yeah.
no, and I will actually email or send a message to the filmmaker and say, hey, this is really good, but watch your color. And one scene that dress is red and the other is a little bit orange. So watch your color correcting, watch your grading. I'm a technical person, and I'll get a reply, hey, thanks a lot, because everyone's learning. Everyone is learning. And I taught here a long time, so I see a lot of my former students out there making movies, making films. Uh, I love the guy Chris Osby with Osby Films. Look him up, and there are others. Um, they're out there doing some great things. Support these people.
Yeah.
Support them. And when they
Yeah.
have some sort of GoFundMe or something to help them tell a story, you'd be surprised what that $1 will do to help a filmmaker,
Hmm.
and just help them buy some food for their crew while they're working.
All right. That's
Support it
amazing.
because they're telling our stories. And one more thing you said about slave movies and these things.
Hmm.
Okay, Hollywood, 120 years old, 130 years old. Count the number of so-called slave movies
Hmm.
that that tell the actual history. It's not that many. You're talking maybe less than 10,
Mm,
less than 10
I agree.
over 120, 130 years where we were in a lot of slave movies, but we weren't looking good. We were using balls.
Hmm.
So we haven't had that many. We haven't seen that many,
Right.
and because we still have stories to be told.
Hmm.
Emancipation, I thought, was just a hell of a movie. 12 Years a
Hmm.
Slave, hell of a movie. Both shot in Louisiana. Um,
Hmm.
it these there should be more because there are still stories to be told. I would love for a filmmaker to make a movie about the color troops. That's what they were called. The Buffalo Soldiers that came into Galveston with General Granger to emancipate and free the slaves that were being still held in South Texas. There's an amazing story there to be told of these soldiers. That was the first time a lot of black people saw strong black men in uniforms giving orders, not just taking orders. And there's an amazing story there, whether it's a documentary or a narrative. There's an amazing story. I have a degree in history. I double major, so I have a degree in history, and I love Black history um,
Hmm.
because it's it's intoxicating. It really
Right.
is intoxicating.
Right. I That's an excellent story. That's an excellent point you just made about a story that could be told. But it just seems like filmmakers carry the weight of the whole um culture, even singers, even it just black people that have a platform, it seems like carry the weight of the whole culture on their backs. And so I just wanted to, whenever they make something. So I just wanted to see what you thought about that. And I'm so glad for your insight. My last question for you is what would you tell a person right now about the challenges of filmmaking and what they should do right now? They have their camera, they have their ideas. What's the next step?
Learn, educate yourself, learn, and never stop learning. I've been doing this professionally since 1986. You weren't even born then. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you want to learn. And I still do tutorials. I still read manuals. Uh, I still will take a class. The learning never stops. The moment you stop learning, you become irrelevant. Always work on your skills, always get better. And if you're a young filmmaker, say, or you're looking to go into the industry, learn everything. Being a journalist, I've run into so many students, and I taught at least one semester at TSU here, and they come in and they go, "I want to be a news anchor." Okay, great. I want to be a news anchor. So I'm not going to work on my reporting. I'm not going to work on my writing. I'm not going to work on my shooting, my editing, my lighting, or anything because I just want to anchor. Well, I go, any station that will take you right out of college and put you on the main anchor desk is not a station you're going to learn in. So learn everything. When Spike Lee started, okay, you go and you look at the credits for She's Got to Have It. You're going to see writer, director, cinematographer, editor, actor, you know, the more you can do, the less you have to pay people to do as you're starting out. And the more you can do, you can have conversations with people. And so, because you go, well, I don't like this, but you can go do it like that. So educate yourself. Be great. Never, ever, ever try to be good. I never wanted to be good at what I do. I wanted to be great. And my uncle told me one time, he said, good enough is never good enough. So I don't want to be good enough. And I'd also tell him, have a hero. Have a hero in film. Mine was Gordon Parks. He was my hero. He was the very first black man, or one of the first black men to sign a deal with the Hollywood studio, and he produced a Learning Tree, and then later did Shaft. Um, but he was a storyteller, and he didn't care if the medium was a Life magazine article, which he was the best there was, the best there's ever been. If it was a camera, he never he never took a lesson. He just bought a camera at a pawn shop, taught himself how to shoot, and he became the very first uh, fashion photographer for, I think it was Vogue magazine. Then he never worked on a movie before. Then he did the Learning Tree and then Shaft. Imagine you make one big movie and it's Shaft, right? Still living. So have a hero. Have someone that that you're looking at what they do and try to emulate that first. You know, people again, the argument is LeBron James better than Michael Jordan? He should be. He had better be because he got a chance to watch what Jordan did and then elevate it. That's evolution. So we get to look at great filmmakers and then try to go that next step. So watch a lot of films. Uh, it drives me insane, and I know we're running out of time, but it drives me insane when I have film students who go, I don't really watch movies. And I go, but you're majoring in filmmaking. Yeah, I don't know much about movies. And I'm like, you, you're not going to make it. And not one of them, not one, over all the years I've done this, not one of them have ever done a single thing in the industry because this is about passion. And when you have passion for something, you're going to do it for free. You're going to find a way to do it. Robert Townsend was, when he did Hollywood Shuffle, that film had 8 millimeter, it had video, it had 16 millimeter, it had 35 millimeter film. When he finished working on a set, he go, "Hey, you got a little bit of film left? Can I have that?" He bankrupt himself. He did everything to make that movie because that was his passion. And then he went on to have this great career. When if you quit because it's hard, you don't deserve to be in it. If you quit because it got difficult, you weren't meant for it. You just weren't meant for it. If you persevere, you fight, you struggle, then when you make it, it's just you're gonna love it just that much more. And and because it's got to be like being a filmmaker, being a photographer is not what I do. It's what I am. It's in my soul. It's in my DNA. I can't, I can't not do it, you
Okay.
know? And it's like a musician or a dancer or a poet or rap. If you find that you're not doing it, you're not shooting, you're not writing, you're not dancing, you're not rapping, you're not playing your guitar, and you're okay with that and it doesn't hurt your soul, then sell that stuff. Just sell it. Get rid of it because you're playing with it.
Yeah.
And you can't put your toe into the entertainment industry. You just can't. You got to wade in up to here. You
Get on
can't
in
just
there.
put your toe in that
And it's never too
because it's
late.
not going to
It's
work.
never too late.
Yeah, and it's never too late. And again, I appreciate you inviting me on. People out there are probably going, "This guy is like." Yeah. But I do have ADHD and I'm proud of it. I love it. It's why I'm successful.
No,
And it keeps
like
me
that. We love
energized. But stay black, tell black stories. Don't let anyone tell you ever that you need to tone that down a little bit.
it. Right.
No,
Right.
because too many people got hit in the head, put in jail, dogs turned on them, for you to turn back now.
Hmm.
So leave it better than you found it. I guess that's my last message. This country, this industry, or whatever, black people, leave it better than you found it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nickerson. You certainly are a dope ass person to me. Looking at your career, following who you are, um, I'm just amazed, and I'm praying the best for Hakima Productions. Look, I have an idea for Hakima. I'm gonna have to tell you offline,
Yeah.
but just want you to just keep creating. And thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it.
And any young filmmakers out there, just reach out to me. Look me up on Instagram, Hakima Productions or Ralph Nickerson, and on LinkedIn, and I will 100% get back to you. 100%.
He sure will. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.